Stop, all that sincerity is killing me, really. Welcome back to More Up North. I'm Shannyn Moore, and I, have this television show called More Up North, and it's my name.
What are the odds of that?
Sometimes I get to pick the panel. Lots of times, actually. And this is and they're probably going to be embarrassed that I'm going to say this, but this is my political dream team. It just is. And if you're another politician, suck it. Yeah, you are not on my dream team. No, these people I've known in politics, I've known personally, and I have a deep amount of respect for them, and I'm going to try everything in my power not to embarrass them on the show by gushing, but I might anyway. So starting at the end down there is Eric Croft.
Hey, Shannyn.
Hey, God, who is in my fantasy world, is the real mayor of Anchorage. Yes, and hasn't written a check to himself for $193,000 in quite some time. But he's a former state representative from District 25 in Anchorage. He was a candidate for governor until other people decided they wanted to run too. And he currently works at home here in Anchorage. He ran for mayor. You might remember, but you were, I don't know, voting for American Idol, and this is all your fault.
She's bitter about
I'm a little bitter this week especially, but I'm doing okay. Harriett Drummond, Assemblywoman Harriett Drummond, she was 3 terms on Anchorage School Board. I don't know if there was a court order involved in that or what. But on February 16th, she was the lone dissenting vote in giving the mayor, Dan Sullivan, a $193,000 check from the city. So she was the lone dissenting voice. And I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
And Bill Wielechowski, who I like to call the best Bill in Juneau. I told you I was going to try not to cheese too much. He's a senator from East Anchorage, District J, co-chair of Armed Services and Resources Committee, and vice chair of Judiciary. It's kind of an important one. And he's the sponsor on 20 bills and co-sponsor on 30 more.
Hi, Shannyn.
Do you sleep? I mean, that's a lot. That's like 20 plus 30 is 50.
I had a lot more in my first 2 years, actually. But
Did you really?
I pared it down.
Are you like, is this sort of senatorship brought to you by?
No, I think Senator Davis actually has much more than I do.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Say the chairman thing again, because Bill and I were comparing notes. I mean, he's always been in the majority. I never was there. I just want to hear that chairman thing.
Okay. He is the co-chair of the Armed Services.
Co-chair's good enough. Sure.
Yes, which I think is great. There was actually a fantastic event. You were on that with Nancy Dahlstrom, and you guys did a great event, which I was so lucky to get to go. It wasn't open to the public, but because I'm press, whatever, I got to go, and it was honoring all of the fallen veterans in Alaska since statehood, and it was just remarkable. I got to hand it to both of you for that. That was fantastic.
Thank you. It was a Decoration of Honor ceremony we had on a Memorial Day, and we honored every veteran that had killed in action in Alaska since statehood, and we had families from all over the country. It was really an amazing experience. And
what I really liked about that day was that it was just open to the families, so that everybody was in a room, and they all knew what each other, they'd all gotten that knock on the door or that letter or however they were informed, and they said their names and they rang a bell. It was really meaningful, and I didn't wear a miniskirt to the event, but someone else did. Yes, that's someone else. So I want to ask you guys a couple of things. My dream team, so I get to ask whatever I want.
Is that the rules? Where's that written down?
It's written down, Eric.
Okay.
Why else would I have a show?
She gets asked the questions.
So this is really what I think is affecting us the most right now. Everybody thinks it's very sexy to go and vote for the presidential election. Well, a lot of people. It's still not even 50% show up. But that's like everybody gets out there and everybody's got great big signs and you see bumper stickers for years afterwards. And it is like a big push and everybody registers and everybody goes. And on a local level, like the race you were in for mayor, was it 20% of people showed up?
By the runoff, yeah.
Like 20% of people actually found their way off the sofa. I don't know what they were doing there, looking for Cheetos, change, I don't know, but they didn't find any change. They got a different mayor. And the sort of pothole watch and the buckets in your school that are getting dripped in, all this sort of unsexy thing about your life, people don't show up for it. But yet that's really what affects you. It's sort of like if you're married, you know, you get the Victoria's Secret in the mail, and those girls don't know who you are. And that's the big election, right? And then there's the wife who's telling you to pick up your socks, and that's your local election. Not so sexy, but actually affects your life because the president doesn't know you exist. So, how are we going to get people to show up? Why don't they? What's the psychology? Eric.
Yeah, I don't know that we can solve it, but you're absolutely right.
No, we have to solve it. That's not the start. Start again.
All right. Take two. We absolutely have to solve it because it's the most important thing, Shannyn. You put the nail on the head there. People know, I think, that the local issues are the most important to them. Dad used to say, my dad was in the Senate, Alaska State Senate for a while, that of all the things they did, permanent fund and oil taxes and all that, he got much more mail about a dog pound issue, right, by factor of 3 or 4. And it wasn't even directly relevant to the legislature, but after a while, you're going to respond and say, well, I'm really interested in your dog pound issue. People are jazzed about their school, their neighborhood, what's happening to their dog and their house. Many of the things that happen on a national level affect us, but everything that happens at your level affects us. Maybe it's just not as sexy. Maybe it's not on television, right?
Right. And the people certainly aren't as good looking sometimes, with the exception of, your race. Harriet, what do you think this is about? Because you get letters from people all week long about absolutely, I've got a pothole on my cul-de-sac. Can you please come fix it? I've written you 97 times. My dog's going to fall in and I'm going to sue you. Whatever their thing is. Oh, dog poop. Big issue for a long time here.
Well, it's going to be coming up to be a big issue. It's
right.
usually in the spring.
It's that time of year.
That's right.
Windshield wiper fluid and dog poop thawing out. It's a great time of year.
And the 1,400 Iditarod sled dogs we just heard about on 4th Avenue on Saturday. They leave quite a bit. The municipal election cycle is very quiet. Number one, it's in the spring instead of in the fall like everybody else's elections. It's a 3-year cycle. Eric had the luck of running in the busiest election cycle. That's the mayor's cycle. And there are no assembly races. We're in the slowest cycle this year. There are only 5 of the 11 assembly seats are up for election this year and 2 school board seats. So it's going to be, the turnout's going to be pathetic. And it's really going to be a race to the polls to see who can get the most voters.
Right. Will it be the socialist 6 or the fascist 5? Tonight at 11. No. But that's really, what happens here locally, we've got to get people to actually show up. And I don't know what it takes. People fought and died for the right to vote so people could, stay home? And Senator Wielechowski, you get tons of emails, tons of phone calls. Half of it, I'm sure, isn't even about stuff that you can do on a state level. Like, yeah, we're going to outlaw dog poop right after the bestiality bill. What do you think it is that makes people stay home for something like assembly races or even Senate? And in November, we'll be hard pressed to get people out.
A lot of the phone calls and emails we get are about assembly issues, and there's this dissonance. People just don't get that how important the local elections are. Like Eric was saying, that everyone's concerned about the potholes, the streetlights, the things that impact them every single day, and they won't go out and vote. In Mountain View, which I represent, in the last local election, the turnout was 8%, and that's a community that has huge needs. That's a community that really needs
8%.
8%, yeah, in a local election. So I know when I ran, I registered hundreds of people. I went door to door through my district twice. I had volunteers go out, and we tried to register, and we probably registered several thousand people. And we worked really hard to get people out to vote. But I was amazed that I would knock on people's doors, and they wouldn't be registered, and they would say, I have no interest in voting, I have no interest in government. And it really is educating people. Democracy is not a spectator sport. People need to get active. People need to understand how important these things are, how important it is to elect good people that will truly represent them. People are wondering, I get emails, I'm getting really frustrated emails from people that are more so frustrated with things on the federal level. And they're asking me, what can I do? I just got an email from a guy in Mountain View. What can I do? I'm really frustrated. And I said, do what you're doing. Get active. Contact people like me, express your frustration. But also, get out and vote. Talk to your friends. Get people excited. You know.
Yeah, the number of times those mad people aren't registered voters.
Yeah.
And when you go to look them up to find the address or whatever, well, you could start, sir, with voting. You know, I'm so mad about this. I think I'm going to vote next time. Oh, really? Wow.